Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're standing on the roof of the Seattle Space Needle.
Mm.
You're 520 feet up in the air. It's 10:40 p.m. on a Tuesday. Pitch black, except for the city way, way down below.
Right.
But you can't really enjoy that view because there's this torrential rainstorm just hammering your gear. The wind is howling at 40 miles per hour.
Which is enough to knock you over if you're not careful.
And the metal grating under your boots is just slick with water.
Just hearing that description makes my palms sweat. I mean, it's sensory overload. It's loud. It's freezing. It's just chaos.
It is objectively the worst possible place for a tactical operation.
Exactly.
And yet you can't even focus on the cold or the wind, because coming down out of the clouds, right above the observation deck, is a drone.
And we're not talking a little camera drone you'd buy at a store.
No, this thing is the size of a compact car, a heavy-lift hexacopter. And it is, for all intents and purposes, a flying Tesla coil, just crackling with electricity.
Ready to turn that whole structure into a giant lightning rod.
It is the definition of a nightmare scenario. And for the team we've been tracking, the Behavioral Probability Unit, the BPU, this isn't some hypothetical.
No, this is real. This is the climax of what they call the Seattle Arc.
So today, we are doing a deep dive into the event the files call static siphoning.
And this is arguably the most intense sequence in the entire source material.
What I love about it is how it forces this team of thinkers, the profilers, the data scientists, to suddenly become action heroes.
Yeah, they're not in a lab anymore.
So let's set the board. We're picking up right where the last files left off. The BPU is tracking a serial killer who uses weaponized electricity.
The Sierpinski sniper.
Which is just a terrifying name, by the way.
It is.
They call him that because he kills according to a geometric fractal pattern. And the Space Needle.
That's the final point in his triangle. It's the capstone.
You know, what's so fascinating here, especially when you dig into the technical notes, is the sheer engineering of the threat.
Oh, yeah. The sources describe this drone in terrifying detail. It's a hexacopter, like you said, but the killer has modified it with a high-voltage capacitor.
I want to pause on the physics here, because it's not a bomb in the traditional sense. He's not dropping C4.
No, and that's what makes it so insidious. The goal is an arc discharge. He wants to dump a massive amount of voltage onto that wet observation deck.
So you've got this metal deck, pouring rain, soaking wet civilians.
If that capacitor discharges, the electricity isn't just going to ground out, it's going to travel.
It's going to chain react through the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing that really stuck out to me in the files. And I actually had to read this part twice because I thought I misunderstood the physics. The drone shouldn't be able to do that.
Right. Batteries are heavy.
To carry enough juice to fry a crowd of people, the drone would have to be the size of a helicopter. It's a weight-to-power ratio problem.
That is the primary physical constraint. If you load it up with enough batteries to make a lightning bolt, you can't get off the ground.
And that's where the killer's, his engineering genius and madness comes in.
The source material explains this concept they call a microwave energy tether.
This sounded like straight science fiction to me.
It sounds like it, but the tech is real. It's just, well, it's weaponized here in a way we haven't seen. The drone isn't carrying the power source, it's siphoning it.
Siphoning it from where?
It's receiving an invisible, focused beam of microwave energy from a transformer at the Broad Street substation nearby.
So wait, it's wirelessly charging in midair?
On a massive industrial scale. Yeah, think of it like a parasitic umbilical cord made of energy.
Wow.
It's pulling megawatts from the city grid, beaming it through the air, and storing it in that capacitor for the final blow.
That is terrifyingly brilliant.
Yeah.
You solve the weight problem by leaving the heavy battery on the ground and just beaming the power up?
Precisely. It turns the city's own infrastructure into the weapon.
So, okay, that's the tactical situation. You have Agent Hatch. She's the tactical expert. She's on the roof in the rain. She sees the drone. She has her sniper rifle. My first instinct reading this is just shoot it, blow it out of the sky.
That would be a standard operating procedure for almost any police unit. And if they had done that, everyone on that roof would be dead.
Because of Dr. Eris Thorne.
Right. Eris is the team's forensic ME, but he's also a physicist. And he spots a detail in the drone schematics that changes everything.
What's the detail?
He realizes the drone is powered by a massive lithium polymer battery just to keep the rotors spinning. This is separate from the capacitor holding the lightning charge.
And in the notes, he calls this the forensic constraint.
Yes. He realizes that if Hatch shoots the center chassis, the main body, she risks piercing that lithium battery while it's under extreme load.
I looked this up. What happens when you puncture a lithium battery that size when it's hot? It's not just a fire.
No, it's a chemical reaction. It's catastrophic. It creates what's called a thermodynamic effect, essentially a fuel-air explosive.
So because the rotors are spinning and compressing the air?
The battery ruptures, sprays aerosolized lithium into that compressed air, and it ignites instantly.
So it wouldn't just disable the drone and have it clatter onto the deck?
No, it would detonate it. Right on top of the Space Needle, you'd basically be setting off a bomb 500 feet in the air right above the people you're trying to save.
The shockwave alone would be lethal.
Absolutely.
That is a paralyzing realization. I mean, Hatch is stuck. She can't let the drone fire because that kills everyone.
Right.
But she can't shoot the drone's body because that also kills everyone. It's a complete stalemate.
Until Eris does the math. He calculates that the only safe way to bring it down is to destabilize it mechanically, without touching the power core.
So he gets on the radio and tells her.
He tells her she has to shoot one of the rotor joints.
Let's just appreciate how absurd that is for a second.
Yeah.
It's night. It's raining sideways, 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
And the target is moving. And Eris is telling her, hey, don't hit the target the size of a car. Hit the tiny metal arm holding the propeller.
It's an impossible shot, a 1 in a million shot. Any sniper will tell you that the windage alone at that altitude makes it a total gamble.
But this is why the BPU team dynamic is so crucial to this whole story.
They don't operate in silos.
Right. While Hatch is dealing with this physical nightmare on the roof, you have Agent Jax Reed back in Quantico.
In the cyber domain.
Jax is the new guy, the cyber statistician.
And while Hatch is staring down the barrel of her rifle, Jax is looking at schematics of the Seattle power grid. He realizes he can't hack the drone itself.
It's air-gapped.
Exactly, not connected to the internet. Smart of the killer.
Literally smart.
But Jax realizes he can hack the fuel source. If the drone is sucking power from the Broad Street substation, he figures he can get into that substation's control system.
And if he cuts the power there, he cuts the microwave tether.
He pulls the plug.
Right.
But, of course, nothing is ever easy in these files.
He's fighting city firewalls.
He estimates he needs 60 seconds to bypass security and kill the grid. So now you have this ticking clock.
This is the synchronized strike the files talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 layers of warfare all happening at once.
Mm-hmm.
You have the cyber warfare with Jax. You have the kinetic warfare with Hatch holding that impossible shot. And then you have Elias Vance.
The profiler.
Right. And usually the profiler is in a quiet room, looking at photos.
Yeah.
But Elias is right there at the base of the tower. I found his role here really interesting because he isn't shooting or hacking. He's thinking.
He's doing what he always does. He's looking for the human element in the equation. He knows this killer, the Sierpinski sniper, is obsessed with geometry and order.
The fractal pattern. The Sierpinski triangle.
Yes. For those who don't know, it's a fractal, an equilateral triangle, subdivided recursively into smaller equilateral triangles. It's a symbol of infinite order.
So what does Elias realize?
He realizes something about the weather. Flying a drone in hurricane-force winds isn't something you can do with a pre-programmed GPS route.
The variables are too chaotic.
Exactly. The wind shears are too unpredictable for a script. Someone has to be piloting it manually.
Someone have to be watching.
Elias develops what he calls the line-of-sight theory. To keep that microwave tether connected and to keep the drone stable, the killer needs a direct visual.
On both the Space Needle and the substation.
Right. So Elias starts looking at a map. He's basically doing geometry in his head in a rain-soaked parking lot.
He's triangulating.
He looks for one location that intersects the necessary angles for the radio signal and a visual confirm. And he finds only one building that fits.
The Pacific Tower.
Right. That iconic orange brick building on the hill, the old Marine Hospital, it overlooks the entire city.
And that just shifts the entire tone of the event for me. Up until now, it's about stopping a machine.
And suddenly, it's about hunting a man.
Elias realizes the killer is sitting in that tower watching the whole thing like it's a TV show.
And that's the moment it all converges. The source material breaks us down second by second. The climax, what the file calls fire and water.
Okay, let's walk through it because the timing here is incredibly tight. It's 10:48 p.m. The drone is fully charged. The capacitor is glowing blue.
Yeah.
It's ready. What happens?
First, Jax wins his race. He breaches the substation firewalls and triggers the blackout. The microwave tether is severed.
Does the drone just drop out of the sky?
No, because the rotors are still on battery power. But it loses its stability. Without that constant feed of microwave energy, the capacitor starts to fluctuate.
It gets erratic.
It starts to wobble in the wind.
And that's the window.
That is the only window. Hatch, fighting the wind, takes a single shot with her .308 rifle. She doesn't aim for the center, she aims for the front left rotor arm. She connects. The round severs the arm. The drone violently spins out of control, and this is where Eris's math pays off.
Because she hit that specific rotor.
The centrifugal force doesn't pull the drone onto the deck, it throws it outward.
Away from the Space Needle.
It hurtles off the side, falling 500 feet toward the Puget Sound.
Right into the water.
And this is the visual that really sells the scene. When that supercharged capacitor hits the salt water.
Salt water is highly conductive.
It discharges everything all at once. The files describe a blinding blue plasma flash.
It must have looked like a small nuke going off.
It lit up the entire Seattle skyline, a shockwave of steam and light. But the energy dissipates into the ocean, not into the people.
Threat neutralized. The tourists are safe. The Space Needle is still standing. What a sigh of relief. I mean, reading that, I was holding my breath. But the episode doesn't end there, does it?
Not at all.
Because the drone is gone. But Elias knows the guy controlling it is still sitting in the Pacific Tower.
Correct. Elias doesn't celebrate. He leads a SWAT team straight to the roof of the Pacific Tower. They breach the location he predicted.
And was he there?
He was there. The chair's still warm. They find the whole setup, the telemetry equipment, but the unsub is gone.
He ran.
Vanished. But he left a message. And this is where the story pivots from a standard thriller into something much, much darker.
He didn't just leave a note.
No. He used a handheld blowtorch to burn a message into the metal of a satellite dish on the roof.
I have the text right here. It's chilling. It says, "The fractal is flawed. I must recalculate the meat."
Recalculate the meat. That phrase just sends a shiver down my spine every time I read it.
Let's unpack that. The fractal is flawed. What's he saying there?
It's an admission of failure, but a very intellectual, detached kind of failure.
What?
Remember, this killer views murder as a way to impose order on chaos. He was trying to create a perfect Sierpinski triangle with lightning. Clean, geometric, elegant.
But because of the BPU, because of the wind, the team, all these chaotic variables?
His equation didn't balance. The pattern failed. He's blaming the math, or maybe the medium. He tried using clean energy. It didn't work.
So the second part, I must recalculate the meat. That implies a shift.
Meat is us, humans.
It's absolute dehumanization.
To him, we aren't people. We're variables. We're organic matter that got in the way of his geometry. And the psychologists in the file suggest this signals a massive psychological shift. He's going to stop killing from a distance with drones and lightning.
If he's recalculating the meat, that sounds like he's going to get up close and personal.
It suggests a move towards something visceral. Biology, maybe. Surgery. If electricity was too unpredictable, maybe he'll try to carve his patterns into something he can control more directly.
Flesh and bone.
Yeah. It sets up a terrifying prospect for the next encounter.
It really changes the stakes. Up until now, he's this distant god figure throwing lightning from the clouds. Now he's saying he's going to get his hands dirty.
And it also highlights the resilience of the team, you know? They forced him to change. They beat his logic.
Right.
Elias, Hatch, Jax, Eris, they outcalculated the calculator. They proved human intuition and teamwork can beat a perfect algorithm.
But the cost is that now they have an angry, evolving serial killer who's rethinking his entire strategy.
Exactly. The hunt isn't over. It just changed shape.
It's incredible to think about the coordination. A hacker in a basement in Virginia, a sniper on a roof in a storm, a profiler doing geometry in a parking lot.
Yeah.
All working in perfect sync.
It feels like science fiction, but the vulnerability is so real.
It is. And it brings up a point about our modern world that the files really touch on. We rely so heavily on these interconnected systems.
The power grid, wireless signals.
We think of them as conveniences. But this deep dive shows how easily those systems can be turned against us.
Right. The killer didn't build a bomb. He just hijacked the city's infrastructure and made it a bomb. He used the city against itself.
That is a lingering thought, for sure. So Seattle is safe for tonight, but the man behind the curtain just decided to change the script.
And if the fractal is flawed, I am terrified to see what his correction looks like.
Well, looking at the files, the BPU isn't getting a break. They stopped a mass casualty event, but they lost the suspect.
The chase continues, and next time, they won't be looking for lightning in the sky. They'll be looking for something much closer to home.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the odds a killer with weaponized lightning just decided to change his mathematical formula? The Seattle hunt concludes next time.
I think the odds are unfortunately very high that he's just getting started.
A terrifying thought to end on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the reality of the deep dive. Sometimes the answers just lead to more dangerous questions. We'll leave you with this. In a world connected by invisible wires and signals, we are all part of a giant web. And usually, that web supports us. But for a few terrifying minutes in Seattle, that web was turned into a trap. Does our reliance on these systems make us stronger, or does it just make us all part of a fractal we can't even see? Something to think about. Thanks for listening.